So good managers have got to give good advice. And unfortunately in this world, and I won't name them, but I'll categorically tell you this is an absolute fact. And if you've got enough club officials around, they'd agree with me. There are some absolute shonks, some real skunks that are managers, and they are just, they're just the worst people to deal with.
And what do you think their day-to-day role would be? What do you actually think they do?
Have a lot of money, have a lot of fun, probably, eat lunches, all that sort of stuff.
I think mainly you look at them as greedy.
Personally, I think they get more money than what they're worth.
Well, the industry's perception is that they're good and bad. Unfortunately, they, being the industry, they, being the clubs, have to deal with certain individuals because they have it over clubs in many respects. They have so many players that are caught up, either signed up with that particular agent. I know that a lot of clubs would not like to deal with certain individuals, but that's the nature of the beast.
I think the perception is that all we do is play a hand. If we have a handful of players at a particular club, we control that club, or we're going to, back that club into a corner, and we're going to move players for the highest amount, and we're going to make all this decisions based on the finances. And I've never ever sat there and said, you're doing this and you have to do this. It's about presenting options to the player and allowing them to make the decision based on the best information that you can possibly provide them. My career came to an end when I was about 24. I'd been delisted twice by 2 different footy clubs. Sat in front of Lee Matthews once, got told wasn't good enough. Rodney Eade gave me another chance. That lasted 18 months or so, and again, I really experienced a lot. That probably for me were the big triggers as to why I wanted to become an agent. I'm the managing director here at I-50 Management. We've got a good solid staff base, another accredited agent with John Meeson here as well. The key thing for me is empathy. As an agent, you go through so many emotions with your players and understanding those. So being in a position where you can provide the advice, not only that, but sometimes just providing an ear to your players through some difficult times, understanding and appreciating what they're going through.
Everyone goes, oh, you're a player agent. It's like Jerry Maguire, like you sit up and you're like, show me the money. But really the contract stuff's only like 5% of our time, and 95% of the time it's so much more than that.
I'm just on my head to get in at any moment. I actually miles away.
The public probably get all the negative stories about player agents, and that's what you probably hear more so than the good stories, because no one really wants to hear about the good stories as such. But you're providing welfare and support not only to the player, but their wives or their girlfriends, their families. So I think that part of our job that's what we put more time and energy into than just signing on a contract every 2 or 3 or 4 years or something like that. I just love being on the journey with the boys from when they get drafted to when they get retired, and I hope that my players know that I care about them all like they're my family, and I go into bat for them no matter what, and I'm always there for them any time of the day.
The conditions tonight are spectacular. I walked across the oval before, Baz, and it's absolutely brilliant at the moment.
Oh, it's perfect. It's going to be a cracking game of footy. We speak about the midfields, the perfect night for a big prelim final.
Paul and myself have been working really closely with Kevin Dingerson and Stacey Oates, who are both the media managers at Geelong Footy Club, just going through the different scenarios of whether Geelong will win or lose tonight and whether he wins or loses on Monday night. So we've got a plan in place for each of those scenarios, and then whatever the result is on Monday, we'll be prepared either way. We hope anyway.
Inside the forward 50. Dangerfield again. Hasn't stopped working. But unfortunately, the season stops right there. Sydney are winners. They're into the grand final, and their stars celebrate.
I work really, really closely with the football club media managers. I feel like I've got a good relationship with all of them. We've got a running time schedule right up until his all-in presser, which is at 9 a.m. at Crown. So that's all pretty much been planned out to a T, and we've left room for a few extras if they call in. So I feel like we've done as much preparation as we can if he wins, and if he doesn't win. Paddy's very relaxed. We haven't spoken a whole heap about the Brownlow in the lead up because he didn't want to talk about it because he didn't want to build it up, I guess. And I just said, all you need to know is if all goes to plan tonight, I'll let you know on the night. So yeah, he's pretty calm actually, really calm.
The Dangerfield.
Winner of the 2016 Brownlow Medal, Patrick Dangerfield of the Geelong Football Club.
I'm so proud of me. You're his master.
That's a moment, isn't it?
It's the 2016 Brownlow Medal.
You spoke really well about both clubs.
Yeah, he did.
Really good.
He's done a good job.
If you don't have good relationships with the footy clubs and your media managers, you're never going to get anything done in football. 7:30 News. Out of 7:30 News, yeah, okay. We're there to help increase their brand and put them out in the media, but also they need to be on the same page with the club in terms of their messaging and if they're not crossing over and doing, overexposure in the media. So I think it's really important to just have them on the same page. You always got to work together because you just ultimately want the same goal. You want to protect your player out in the media, but you also want the best outcome for them too. Morning!
Oh, John boy, this is for. I'm going to send it to.
Look
Sorry to do it to you, but Lonnie will want to know. She's worried.
I'd probably get looked after a little bit too well. If I didn't have Mel, I'm not sure how things would function tonight, and last night certainly wouldn't have been as easy as it was, because she really does make things tick, along with Paul. So I've often said and spoken to my wife, it's one of the best decisions I made to sign up with Mel and Paul, and it makes footy so much more enjoyable.
The siren will sound. A 55-year drought ended. The Dogs are in the grand final. Wow. What about that? 20,090 days since their last grand final, and the Dogs have made history. The big dance with Sydney. Unbelievable.
You're one of so many inspirational stories here tonight. What a moment this is for you guys.
It's unbelievable, mate. From where we've come from, it's just, we're written off probably at the start of the final series going over there, and we've just overcome so much. Lost one of my best mates on Monday during the week, so this game's for Daisy and I fucking love him.
all the stuff after the weekend, with me mate and that, I was sort of, I don't know, it was weird emotion after the game. I was wrapped, but I was just...
I even dropped the F-bomb on too, mate.
Yeah, I did that. But
that was great though.
Yeah, Monday it was crazy. It
was raw emotion.
Even Sunday.
Yeah.
That's left lane, bro.
Left lane.
Joining me for the next 2 hours, manager to the Stars, Marty Pass. Good afternoon to you.
Thanks, Tristan. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on for another year.
The big one this trade period over the past 3 months has been Dion Prestia and where he's likely to move to, how discussions have been progressing. What can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, well, we fully expect him to get to Richmond. I think that, certainly we can only speak from our camp's perspective, and the way that I felt Dion handled the situation was first class. We feel that we've certainly left the Gold Coast with plenty of time to make the appropriate decisions that they need to make in terms of what they need and how they want to go about it.
But a whole lot more to come here on NAB Trade Radio.
You're listening to NAB AFL Trade Radio.
What about this guy? What about this guy on Twitter? Breaking news: player agent has no problems with players moving clubs. Fantastic. It's always the player agent's fault, isn't it? It's got nothing to do with any other factor that comes into it, but the fact that the player agent wants you to move. So Tristan, I'm going to tell you that you have to go and work at SEN now. I'm deciding for you. All right, that's it. You got no say in anything else. All right. I think that we probably need to get away from generalising agents in the sense that everybody's going to be treated a certain way and everybody's under the same umbrella is acting the same way, because every agent, like a football coach, has so many different philosophies and what they believe in.
I feel like I've been through most things in footy. Being a top 10 draft pick to start with, I understand the pressure that's involved there. I've been traded, so I understand how the trade works from a playing perspective.
Gibson only as far as McDougall, who loads it up and goes and kicks the goal, and he might be playing again next year.
We'll keep him.
He'll do.
Some players you speak to every day, and other players like to be spoken to once a week. Seeing all different faces of the AFL is probably my greatest strength as a manager now, and guiding the young boys through their process and their time, and hoping they have long-lasting careers.
It's just about set to go. Perfect conditions at Punt Road and plenty of talent on display.
With the kids, they're very new to the industry, and so as the family, so it's a time where you have to be very open and transparent and make sure that all the information is honest and the dialogue's very regular and coming through. So the dialogue with the player and the family is different at all key stages, but for 12 months I really enjoy working with the player and their family all the way up.
I got a phone call from Andrew and Colin at Corporate Sports, and went in and had a meeting with them the next day.
Tim English into the ruck. Have you seen a bigger transformation in the last 2 years? He must be in his greens. I reckon he was just a midfielder. Now he's in the ruck.
Yeah, Big Timmy's one that has grown over 10 centimetres in the last 18 months, just sprung straight up. But he's still got some of the attributes of a smaller midfielder, so he still picks it up pretty well below the knees. And he's gone from Colts through reserves to make a senior debut at Waffle level this year.
Met Andrew there, and it was a pretty clear choice for me. It's just so down to earth and makes it really easy, just going through this phase.
Yeah, the Tim English story last year revolves around the fact that he was ruled ineligible for the draft because he hasn't played, at that point, under 18 level footy in the Waffle. There was some confusion over which Waffle club he was linked to because of where he lived and where his home address was. So that created some confusion. It meant that he was ruled ineligible for the draft. There were a couple of clubs circling. Collingwood was linked to him as a potential home last year, more as a rookie or as a late selection. I think those clubs who had some interest now will be ruining it because he looks like being an early selection of this year's draft.
If you could go through today some questions with him and just chat about what to do and what not to do and what to watch out for, I think it'd be a big plus for us and for Timmy.
I know clubs like to control the player, they don't want you to give away game plans, they don't give away secrets, which is fair enough. But I reckon always be friendly to the media. So when you're arriving at training, say g'day. Don't walk past with your phone and ignore them. Just, or if they're going to try and get a grab from you, look, smile on the face. Ben Cousins was the best at it. Walk past, smile on his face, going, sorry guys, can't talk, can't comment. And at least you don't look like you're rude, because they can be your best friends, the media as well.
Luke and I've got a really good relationship. We're very close. I get along with his wife really well. I feel like I can call her and have a chat anytime. I've watched his kids grow up and go to school, and yes, we have a business relationship, but also we're really good friends as well.
My wife reckons I speak to Mel more than I call her, so, and she's probably right there. There's certain people you just click with straight away, and I guess Mel, if anyone has a conversation with her, she's caring. I guess a lot of managers come in and will do everything for the player. She wants to help the player understand it as well, so when you leave football, you don't have that. If a manager's not there to guide you through it, the ways to handle all certain things you've got to do in life.
I've been at Connor Sports for 9.5 years, and Luke's been here that whole time. I still remember when he was 25 in his orange Holden Monaro, and he was telling me how he's going to buy this GPS system for his car, and it was all going to be souped up, and that is so different to who he is now.
We're just on our way. We got held up with those last guys with Paul. Here we go, this is testing now.
No, don't.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
What do you mean?
Watch that, Paul.
Oh, you're so mean.
Uh-oh.
Is that a rock?
Uh-oh. I don't know, you're the one doing it. There's a pole there. Please hit it, it'd be so good for camera.
Oh my God, you're so mean.
It'd make it interesting.
How are you?
Georgie, how are you, mate? How are you? Where are we going?
Have you got some of these?
No, I haven't.
You 15?
Yeah. Did they make them that big? Who knows?
Do you want us to find out? We can.
I'd speak to Mel once a week, if not more. And yeah, it's not always about footy. It's not always about, I guess, the finance side of it. A lot of it's about life, how I'm going Especially times like this when you're injured, your manager's always there to look after you.
The support for Nick when he did his knee was completely overwhelming, even for me. I never had so many calls from like just our players, but my friends, like my grandmother who doesn't know anything about football. Like I think because Nick is such a humble and loving person, people know that about him, that everyone wanted to show their support. So you know, I remember he turned his phone on and it was crazy, and he was very overwhelmed, didn't know what to do with it.
The biggest things is family. My family really get along with them. You know, they love Mel, they love Paul, and you know, they invite them to some of the Fijian ceremonies, things like that. So it's yeah, like I said before, it's probably bigger picture. It's not just the player they look after; it's the whole family, and they have that special connection and bond. And you know, Mel had that, especially with my mum and stuff. She'd help out, especially when I was going through what I was going through, to make that transition pretty easy to get everything done, and I guess pain-free because I had a lot going on. Yeah, it's something that I'll always be, I guess, forever grateful for, and happy that they did that for me.
It was a really difficult time, obviously, for Nick, and because he's in the spotlight a lot, especially over in Perth. A lot of people were interested and wanted to know what was going on, and I guess, yeah, our job was just to make it less stressful for him, and he could just go and be with his family. So Paul was helping me talk to media in terms of, you know, not rocking up to the airport and just letting him be. It was just anything he needed, really, like whether it was booking flights or it was calling certain people back home, or I think I remember I got his cousin from Brisbane on a flight there, so I was liaising with him a lot, and just, you know, paying for certain things that happen in the village too, to make things happen, I guess. So paying the bills here and making sure they had enough money for X, Y, and Z, and just, I guess, daily check-in for him too. It was just an outlet to just come home and go, okay, this is what we need to do today, and then I'd go to bed, and then I'd wake up in the morning and then I'd make that happen, and then that was the cycle for, I guess, for the next 7 to 10 days.
Player manager Marty Pask says he's relieved to have finalised Dion Prestia's move from Gold Coast to Richmond. The Tigers have parted with pick 6 and a future second-round selection in exchange for Prestia and the Suns' pick 24. Pask has told AFL Trade Radio Prestia made up his mind before the end of the season.
The decision was made early enough, and Dion was also injured too at the time, so there was a perfect opportunity to make sure that we made the decision and get that decision done reasonably quickly.
Round 18 in the end was the definitive point where I met with the Gold Coast Suns, but more importantly, Dion met with Rodney Eade and the rest of the coaches, and told them one-on-one, which was important for him to do. In this situation with Dion specifically, he's got a huge family. He loves being in Melbourne. He misses his family in Melbourne, and like anybody out there in the workforce, a lot of people get to go home at night and be surrounded by loved ones. You know, sometimes it's tough for a footballer to leave home, go on the other side of the country, go home at night, and they don't have their family and friends around them.
You might have some media now waiting for you when we drive in too. Why are you happy to join the Richmond Footy Club? What attracted you to the Tigers? Melbourne? Because it was in Melbourne? Situation, location. Yep. Midfield. Yep.
The Andrews government has released
it's good.
Water plan for the
So who are you excited about playing alongside in Richmond in the midfield next year?
Increase the use of stormwater. It will also ensure Aboriginal participation in the planning and management of water resources. The government
Smile. You're excited. Woohoo.
I think it'd probably been a 12 months to 2 year process of discussions, particularly with Marty. It's a tense time. I've actually been on the other side of the fence myself as the agent. Marty was great, you know, very professional. At times already sort of, you know, prodded us to try to move things a bit faster. But that said, I think that's what a good manager will do, is act as a bit of a mediator and sounding board between the two clubs, and try, if he can, to bring a bit of an objective view on you know, what the trade should look like for both parties, and trying to make sure that both parties agree to something that's fair.
Just relieved that it's all over now and I can crack in for next year.
It was a good one in the end for us to obviously get Dion done. It was a bit of a bit of a long drawn-out saga, longer than we thought it was going to be. Dunny, he's obviously happy with the move.
Yeah, he's happy. He wanted to stay at Melbourne, but knew that he probably had 12 months left, and it was probably going to be VFL at that stage, and then he's done. So, you know, to get this 2-year contract at Collingwood, you know, playing, only moving up the road, you know, a young family as well, so it was pretty important for him to get that deal done.
What are you looking forward to most about the prospect of playing AFL and joining an AFL club?
I don't know, I just think sort of getting into it, it's, you think about it quite a bit, and obviously it's something I've been aiming for my whole life really, and mostly this year I've been focused on it quite a bit, so yeah, obviously just getting into it and sort of seeing where it goes from there.
Yeah, we had Tim and his family in, had a good chat to them. They came down from Pingelly, so very good country people, and we spoke to them about the process from, I think it was February or March, and how it all works and what we need to do, and hit some key targets and have some goals for him and make sure he's focused on his work. He was working with his dad up on the farm and driving down to training. Most clubs have always had a strong interest towards Timmy. And obviously now the trade's finished, some clubs are going to get an opportunity to take Timmy, and others probably won't have that opportunity because he should go reasonably early, we hope. And we just think whatever club Tim goes to, he's obviously a little bit of a project because of his size. He needs to put on some weight in the gym, but his talent probably surpasses a lot of players. So he'd be a great first pick for most clubs, and hopefully he gets that opportunity. And I think he really knows he needs to work hard, and he's excited about playing at AFL level.
Pretty exciting. When's the draft?
Yeah, 25th.
Go with him and Griffin Logue. Yeah. Cole's going to Gold Coast and I'll go to Adelaide.
When are you flying to Sydney? Is it Sydney?
Yeah, Thursday, 24th I think. Yeah, Thursday next week.
Looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, pretty excited.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, pretty nervous too.
Good luck.
All right, thanks for that.
Good luck, mate.
Thanks, mate. Nice to meet you. See you again. Cheers.
Mel's been great with my aspirations to get involved in the media world, and she plays a huge role in setting that up.
At the moment, we're doing everything we can to kind of get him flying hours with the right people. He went over to the States with ESPN at the end of last year, and he went to as many games as possible and trying to really give him a clear path in what he wants to do. So yeah, I've just kind of been helping him a lot with that over the last 2 to 3 years. And then I guess as he's played really good football and his profile's grown, the opportunities also get bigger too, so it's been good.
Mel was probably one of my biggest supports getting through last year for myself and my partner Jessica. She was amazing. I was ringing her up late at night at times when I was struggling, over the weekends when she should be having her family time and stuff like that. I was always in contact with her, and you know, she made that known to me that I could ring her up anytime, and I guess that's just the person she is. Once she cares about you, she'll go to any length to make sure you're okay.
Within 24 hours, their footy homes will be decided. Fremantle and West Coast keen suitors, but could be beaten to the punch. Lanky ruckman Tim English needs time to develop his body. Freo will be tempted to take him at 7 as a replacement for Aaron Sandlands.
Ruckman tend to get picked up later in the draft, so yeah, if I went that early, obviously I'd be really happy to.
We're feeling quite excited as well as nervous about what the future holds for Tim. You know, we're not really sure where he's going to be or how it's all going to sort of play out tonight.
Yeah, it's sort of coming up pretty quickly now, and yeah, still have pretty much no idea of where I could end up, or if I could end up anywhere. So yeah, obviously nerves started to kick in when we flew in last night, and yeah, but at the same time sort of excited as well.
In terms of forging an AFL career, you'll hear it 1,000 times. It's just hard work, and I was a rookie, so obviously my natural ability at the start probably wasn't as high as like some guys in this room, but it doesn't matter if you're the first draft pick or you're rookie. Once you get to a club, everyone's even. It doesn't matter. So you just got to put your head down and work really hard.
I think Tim was really happy with Andrew from the minute he met him, and he has established a really good relationship with him. And Andrew was very clear at the start that if Tim ever wanted to change his mind as far as the agent he had, that he could do that at any point. So I think knowing that was, you know, that was very honest of Andrew to let us know.
If Tim or any of the other players that we manage didn't get picked up for some reason tonight, then the process is there's a 2-day, 3-day turnaround for the rookie draft. So I'll be working with all the clubs in the morning, speaking to the clubs and looking at the players they've got left over and looking at their order and working in with the clubs to make sure that we can get our boys back on a rookie list and get that opportunity.
Good evening and welcome one and all to Sydney's Hordern Pavilion for this year's NAB AFL Draft.
A lot of speculation about where Tim English, the All-Australian ruckman, might be taken.
He's the best ruck prospect we've had in several years. This kid, the fact that he's a ruckman, he's in the first round, it's really exciting. The question is, how early can you take a ruckman? He's been linked to Gold Coast and Fremantle really heavily, but there's a chance he gets outside the top 10. If he does, Port Adelaide's got picks 14 and 17. The Dogs have pick 18, and I don't think he gets past that pick, and I think it'd be a really smart fit.
Every young man's dream to play in the AFL, it may become a reality tonight, and it starts from the minute their name is called out.
That brings us to pick number 19, and it's the reigning Premier, the Western Bulldogs.
With pick 19, the Western Bulldogs have chosen Tim English from the South Fremantle Football Club.
Jono, this is the young man you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it is, and look, the Bulldogs over the last few years have drafted some smaller type players, but they've all had an impact. They've gone for height with their first pick now. Obviously in the grand final, Roughead and Boyd were a fantastic one.
Obviously just stoked. I think, really looking forward to tonight, and sort of coming into the night wasn't too sure about how it was going to pan out, but yeah, obviously hearing your name called in the national draft is a huge thing, and then to the reigning premiers as well, yeah, obviously just really excited.
We did make the trip to the farm in country WA, so that was fantastic to meet Mum and Dad in that surrounding, and just to give it some context around his upbringing. Obviously being a boarder in Perth, it was a bit different, but coaches, teachers, the WA talent programs, we're pretty thorough in how we go about it, so we don't like surprises, so hopefully we won't get any with Tim, but we're confident that he'll be a good player.
After the end of the season, I'll be hanging up the boots. There's a few thank yous. I guess I'll start with management group who I started when I was 17, Connor Sports Management, and Mel, who's sitting over there. What you've done for myself, but my family as well, is over and above what you've had to do, so thank you very much.
You don't want it to end, you don't want the journey to end, because it's what we love about it, but I was upset, obviously, but then I went over to his house and had dinner with him and Loz and the kids and talked about it, and so I totally understand it's his decision. Wish he could play on forever, but I know that can't happen, so I was trying not to get emotional when he kept staring at me and he was saying, thanking me, and I was like, okay, stop thanking, stop, it's okay, I don't want to cry or anything, but yeah, it was hard, but he's such a wonderful person, he's such a wonderful player and friend and everything. Yeah, I was just happy and honoured to be there.